My name is Senator Ireti Kingibe. I'm the senator representing the Federal Capital Territory in the 10th Senate. I've always been the kind of person who gets involved in things. When I was in university, I went to the University of Minnesota. I was part of the Nigerian Students Union. We had a large number of Nigerian students, at least 300 students were in the university. I ran for president of the Nigerian Students Union, and to my shock, I won. And I was like, oh my God, now what? Because I wasn't prepared to win. But I must say, I struggled. I gave the best I could. I did my best, and I got a student leadership award from the university. I've always gotten involved. When my husband at the time, Kingibe, was involved in politics, especially when he was running for presidency, I got involved. I would say, I think this poster will not inspire me to vote, and I would pick the one that would. I've always been involved. I am not a person who says things are bad and then you just leave it for other people to solve. If something is wrong, then you get up and fix it. That's me. So, in fact, his nickname for me was MCD, Madam Can Do. If things need to be done, I just hop into. I'm the kind, if we're moving, I will jump into the trailer and arrange the stuff as they're bringing it in. So that was me. One day I just thought, maybe I can write. But then my problem to writing was that I felt everybody would think the opinions expressed were not mine, that they were his. Then I thought, okay, maybe I should use a pen name. Then one day I thought, why all of that? Just join a political party. You can vent there, because I thought that was where you could go to air your views. So at the time, PDP was the ruling party at the time, and I didn't like a lot of their policies and a lot of what they were doing. So I decided to join the opposition, which was ANPP. At the time it started off, it was APP, and then became ANPP. Then one day I was in London, I got a call from him saying the incumbent senator of the Federal Capital Territory was looking for a woman that she could pass on her structures to, that she was looking for somebody that she could hand over to. And he thought of me. So I said, oh, no, I don't know anything about being a senator. And so therefore, no, I can't do this. He goes, but nobody does until they're actually a senator. So he said to me, Ireti, is easy to criticize, but it's not easy to do. So that sort of piqued me. So I said to him, okay, give her my number. So he gave her the number. She called me, and she spoke to me. I said the same thing. I don't know anything about I don't know how to be a senator. So she asked me, are you registered to vote? I said, no. She said, that's the first place we must start. And the registration drive it ends in 3 days. Would you please come home and register to vote? So I just got a ticket. I left my main ticket, just got another ticket and rushed home. Straight from the airport, I went to register to vote. Then when I was done, I went to her. The senator at the time was Senator Heebah Gwadabe. I said to her, okay, nice meeting you, but here I am, I've registered to vote, now what? She said, what's your ward? I said, I don't know. She said, where do you live? I said, Maitama. She said, okay, your word is Wuse. Remembering that I did not have a ticket. So eventually, she just guided me, and I told her, I said, I don't have any money. She said, don't worry, you don't need any. So one day she called me. All of this I'm talking about of maybe a period of 2-3 weeks. She called me and said the chairman wanted to see me in her office. So I went there, and he told both of us that the party, they had an NWC meeting, and they had unanimously agreed to give me the ticket, because I think the time for primaries was passed, and the other man didn't want, the man who thought he was going to get the ticket did not want to do any primaries. So they decided, okay, they would decide, and they gave me the ticket. All of this was taking place 3 to 4 months before the general election. And I must say, I was very successful in that election, and a lot of it was due to the support and the mentoring and the guidance that she gave me. There were times I would be scared. Maybe some man has joined the elections and I'm terrified of him. I would run to her and say, oh, no, I think it's time for me to withdraw. This person has joined. She said, who? I tell her, oh, don't worry about him. He's a lightweight. When there's something to worry about, I would tell you. And she guided me through every little detail, I must say. And though, because I was in opposition, at the end of the day, I was not declared the senator, but everybody in the FCT knows that I won the elections. We were in court back and forth, dragging and on for almost a year. We did not even conclude that whole saga of the 2003 senatorial election in the Federal Capital Territory till December of, I think it was 2004. Anyway, at the end, I just was tired. I did not have the resources. So I just made a statement saying that everybody knows I did not lose, but it is time for us to put this matter to rest so the people of the Federal Capital Territory can move on. I must also say that at that time I was very naive. I was idealistic. I didn't have any money, but I believed that the community and the people were interested in good governance and good people. So I wrote to many people telling them that I'm running and I needed their support. I told you that I only had ₦1 million, which I spent buying rams, right? But people donated to me the equivalent of 50 million naira. And the highest donor I had was 3 million. So I had people who gave me 2K. I had those who gave me 20K. So my election at that time was a collective effort. I'll be campaigning somewhere, an NTA crew will show up saying it's news, but it wasn't news. They were just trying to give me a little bit of prime time I couldn't afford, where I had these 1-minute ads, which of course I couldn't afford prime time. They would ensure that they put it 1 minute before the news. So they put it 1 minute before 7 p.m. when the news starts, and the same thing at 9. So everybody helped out with that election. So at the end of it all, though they took it, anytime anybody comes and says, oh, the government is going to settle you, this is going to happen, I always tell them, no. If you find me holding any office in this government that is not Senator of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, come back and insult me, because if you settle me, what about all the people who put their little effort into that election? And because I wasn't expecting to win, I wasn't even expecting to do as well as I did, it was the beginning of a journey for me. And I must say that every 4 years since 2003, I have put my posters on the streets and I have come out running for Senate. Now, I could have, in truth, I would have liked to have been a local government chairman, but I started off at Senate. And even when I was toying with the idea, even the people who were running for local government had assisted me. And to me, it seemed like it was going to be a betrayal since I was so much stronger politically. So I decided to stay in the lane that God had chosen for me from the beginning. 2018 was the last time I ran wholeheartedly. Let's put it that way. After that, I looked at the state of the country, I evaluated the Federal Capital Territory, and I did not see any progress in almost 20 years. I was disillusioned by everything that was going on in my political party and the space and everything. So I was thinking of leaving politics and doing something else. As you can see, I'm an art lover and an art collector, and there's so much I felt I could do that would be fulfilling. The only time I ran as a candidate was in 2003. After that, all my efforts was to be on the ballot, and I never was. So, but every time I don't get given the ticket in APC or PDP, all the other parties would offer me their tickets. Now, the problem with that is that they didn't have any structures, and I would evaluate it. I actually toyed strongly in 2018 with taking the SDP ticket, but it's one thing not to have structures, it's another thing not to be aware that you don't have structures. So I was not comfortable and I let it be. But in 2022, I got several offers, and the ones that I considered most strongly was NMPP and Labour Party. And my leaning was strongly towards NMPP. The only thing that stopped me from taking their ticket was because they were not united. The local government chairmen were on one side, the state chairman was another. And I thought, well, it's one thing to be a weaker, smaller party and be, divided. It didn't augur for success. And then there was Labour. Labour, the benefit it had for me was that a lot of the members had been people with me in ANPP in 2003. So I knew them well, they knew me, and they talked me into feeling that this is the place to be, we're all here. And fine, they too didn't have the kind of structures that we needed, but we built it as well. They had some, and we built up the rest as we went along. And the confidence that I had with that is that FCT has always been a place where they're not so much into parties. They're more focused on the type of candidates that they have. So they can vote for anybody, regardless of party, once they feel that that's the way to go. And also, it's a place where people do actually vote. Very, very difficult to manipulate. You can tweak it a little bit, but you can't really manipulate the votes in this place. So I've gotten to know the place well, and it gave me enough confidence that I could run on the platform of Labour Party or NMPP or whatever, as my people told me. And I chose Labour, and the rest is history. I first started in Queen's College, Yaba, Lagos, before the war. And then when the war came along, we were separated. And so we were in Biafra during the war and missed all the years. Though my mother tried to put us in a school called Maria Regina, run by nuns for a while, but was it just maybe a few months out of the whole 3 years. So after the war, I went to live with my sister in New York, and I went to school, Washington Irving High School in New York. I graduated from there. And then I went to University of Minnesota. I studied civil engineering, and then I came home. I did my NYSC with the Nigerian Air Force. Then I worked within a construction company in Kaduna, a subsidiary of the Northern Nigerian Development Corporation. The company was called NNCC, New Nigeria Construction Company. I worked for them for a few years. Then I left them, got married, moved to Lagos. I worked with Lodi Gianni Construction Company in Maiduguri when I was living there. I did some project management. So I worked as a civil engineer for quite a while. Then, except for the times when I would leave to go and join politics, when I'm done, I come back to my profession. And that's what it was like until I became a senator. Well, number one, I got a lot of experience from my husband being a politician. I got a lot of guidance from him. I learned to be, what's the word? Not to take politics personally. one of the things I feel that taught me the final lesson many, many, many years ago, I think he was still chairman of the Social Democratic Party, SDP. Anyway, they must have gone campaigning for something, and a man tried to shoot him. When he came back and told me about it, I was very upset. And then I was shocked. 2, 3 weeks later, that same man was coming to lunch. And like I said, he's coming to this house to eat after he tried to kill you. He said to me, no, he doesn't have anything personal against me. He doesn't like my politics. And at the time, I just didn't understand it. I couldn't separate it. But going forward many, many years, I learned to separate political disagreement from personal. This person doesn't like Ireti. No, the person doesn't know Ireti and does not care. The person does not align with my political direction. Now, in terms of milestone, of course, 2003 election for me was a beginning. And then 2022, learning that it's not just about what I want politically, but I also have to do sometimes what the people want. And truthfully, I wasn't sure how it was going to end up. I always felt that if I ever got the ticket and I was put on the ballot, that I would probably win. But I was shocked by the margin with which I won. I have to tell you the truth. I expected to win, but I didn't expect to win with such a huge landslide. They needed a change of platform. They needed a change of candidate. They needed a change. And all of it worked in my favor. Also helped that they had voted for me before, and my election was, what's the word? I don't want to say stolen, but you know what I mean. And then finding the opportunity to vote for me again. I also have been insistent. For 20 years, they've seen my posters all over town. Is okay, let's find out what this woman really wants, that she will not just leave this thing alone. Of course, most of my political supporters and my political team and everything have been male. It's only since I became a senator that I've been trying to put more women into my political space. And I must say, the men are very, 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 very gender biased. I remember once I asked for a meeting of my team, my group, my political people, so to say. And when they all assembled, there were only men. So I said to the man I asked to call the meeting, Malam Zubairu, where are the women? He goes, Haji, I didn't call them. I said, why not? He goes, you know how women are. They will now come and be doing this and that and the other. I said to him, but I am a woman. He's come to believe that I'm not a real woman. You know, I'm a woman on the same level as men. And he doesn't even remember that I'm female most of the time. So maybe that's how it works. Even the people I run against, sometimes some of them is like, you know, you're actually a woman. Oh, I say, yes, I am actually a woman. So there's a lot of that. Then even as senator, after you get elected, there's still a lot of gender bias with every aspect of this political journey. That's the truth. And they also expect that regardless of the fact that I'm a senator, that I should be mute. I shouldn't speak up. I should be, women are meant to be quiet. And if you're not quiet, that's a big minus against you. So It's something that every woman who ventures into the political space must find her own way of addressing. I've had to deal with a little bit of violence, but not a lot, because FCT is not the kind of place where there's a lot of violence. What do you want to do? Start shooting on Hilton Junction or what? It's just not conducive. Maybe in the very interior of Abuja, perhaps, but then the votes are not that much. They're like a quarter of all the votes in Abuja are in the other four local governments that are in the interior. The remaining 75% are in Amaka and Buari that are actually cosmopolitan. I'm championing because remember that I'm just a new senator. I've got one or two bills in, but they haven't gone to conclusion. And even after they're passed as bills, the president must sign them for them to be law. But I'm working on the gender bill. I am optimistic that this time around, with the cooperation of everybody, the male senators, everybody, as well as these civil society organizations, media, everybody, that bill might scale through. We need it as a nation. It's very embarrassing when we go to international fora and Nigeria is at the very bottom in terms of gender representation in governance and in government policy making bodies. Law is not just for women, it's for the whole country, it's for national development. Also, it has been shown that countries that have a lot of women in governance and policy making are also better developed economically. So it's something we need as a nation. The country isn't doing women a favor. We need it as a nation for our national development. And that's the way I see it. And I hope that the men in the National Assembly will see it the same way. For one thing, the senator who um, introduced me to elective politics, Senator Hairat Abdul Razak. I forgot to put her first because she came in as Senator Hairat Abdul Razak before she married Gwadabe as a senator. I admire her. I admire the fact that she when looking for somebody, she could have easily looked for a man, but she decided she wanted to give it to a woman. So obviously, even in though from way back, she was already gender focused. I admire women like Hillary Clinton. Well, obviously, they can only have impacted on me remotely. Um, and in the country, some of the people I have admired have been male. I do appreciate the mentoring. However, inadvertent in the sense that it's not like Baba Kingibe ever sat down to say, okay, let me mentor you. But I did learn a lot of positive things from him, and that has also impacted on my politics. Is the politics of being open-minded, a politics of listening to criticism. Anytime somebody has a grievance and they criticize me, I learned from him that you don't just say, please just forget him. I call the person to say, okay, what is the problem? Tell me how you would have done it. What is it that I'm not doing right? And I must say that I definitely learned from him because I saw how he always reacted to political criticism different from personal criticism. Who else again would I have said? There's another friend of mine who's now deceased, Senator Wenga Aluko. He also guided me then I wasn't senator. I only just started my political elective journey. I also would like to commend women like Senator Daisy Danjuma. She may not, I don't know how much people know, but she's also one of the few women who promotes and tries to uplift and ensure that other women get into the political space. I have been a beneficiary of that. And I'm also looking forward to be mentored by Senator Biodun Olujimi, who's been several things as well as a senator. So there are many women that collectively have all together, everybody's little bit has made the Ireti Kingibe you see here today. One, they have to be deliberate. Sometimes I know it's scary, but they have to just plunge in and they have to stick with it. Tenacity is important. Resilience is important. There were times when in some primaries it declared that I won, but they want the man instead. Perhaps maybe they feel I wouldn't be as amenable. I'm not sure why. It's clear that I did win, but I didn't just go in. I would sulk for a day or two, dust myself, and move on, start afresh. And women have to learn to do that. I won't say that it didn't hurt. There were times when I would have been inside everywhere, dust and everything. I would be sick, running a fever, and I'm still on the streets. I would go into hospital 1 or 2 days. I would come back out. So you cannot imagine. When it's over, I still would get involved. I've gone to congresses where even with 21 policemen, they've removed all the branches of the tree, every kind of violence. Somebody was yelling at me with a snake around his neck. And I'm telling myself that I think I would die if he threw that thing at me. And sometimes I wonder, I say, what are you doing here? How would you ever meet such people? But you will still see me back there again. So women who decide they want to go into this must make up their mind. They're going to do it. It's going to be difficult. They're going to fall many times, but they have to also get up, take a few moments, catch their breath, heal if they have to, and get back there. A lot of the funding I have raised have always come from men. The women don't have the money to give. Some women have given me a lot of money, yes, but mostly it's men. And so those men also see something in us. There's a man who came, but after I become a senator, who offered me certain things for my constituency. He told me, he said that he's done an experiment where if you take the same 5 men and did he tell me maybe 5 or 10 men, 10 women, and you give them the same opportunities, train them the same way, and that then throw them out. 5 years later, you can count on the women more. They're more loyal, they're more everything. And so he has come to believe that there's some innate thing in women that makes them more dependable, even in the political space. And therefore, he's come to offer me every assistance I need. I was surprised, because I asked him why, and he told me why. I think that if all of us women, and even the nation, if we understand that we can never fully attain our full potential, leaving behind almost 50% of the population, that I expect to see more women in the 2027 election. I also expect that there should be some sort of affirmative action for women in politics, in the sense that right now most parties will tell you, oh, we give women tickets free and all of that, but that's not real. They give you the ticket with you, but they ensure that you do not emerge. women can only be part of this political space if it's legislated. That's the truth. Let me give you an example. Way back, the parties will say 3 people from each ward. Almost all the people who emerged that they sent from each ward were all male. Then the party now started saying 3 people from each ward, 1 must be a woman. Everybody found politically interested women in their wards. The same way, if it is legislated, you will find that there will be a lot of capable women in the political space and in appointive as well. So, and until that is done, we're somewhere in our development where fairness, all those things, we've thrown it all away. We only respond to you must. The government, civil society organization, the media, they can first of all start by supporting the legislation, number 1. Secondly, I think that government should, well, when the women have emerged, they should have some sort of bipartisan fund or non-partisan fund for women, knowing that it's in the interest of the government to have as many women emerge victorious. So they shouldn't focus on just women from their own party. Civil society organizations, well, already they're supporting, but they can be more supportive in the sense that they pay attention whenever the women are bullied. It becomes a collective, outcry. So they keep an eye that the women who have gotten there do not get discouraged and leave, because I find that the attrition rate is quite high for women in politics, and we have to look into that. Funding, that's an important thing, and even if it's not money, things like campaign materials, campaigning, talking to people, ensuring that the women get elected once they have emerged, trying to ensure that it's not about parties, it's about the fact that they're female. That's all I can say. Two things. As I said, always be truthful, and to thine own self be true. Because sometimes people say to me, oh, you're not going to prepare for some interview or the other. I said, no, as long as I speak the truth and as long as I listen to my heart about what is right and what is wrong. That the other motto is that when good people keep quiet, when bad things are happening, they have tacitly, they've tacitly agreed and acquiesced to that act that's taking place. It's a very, very critical thing in this society. There are lots of people who don't agree with a lot of the bad things that are happening, but everybody keeps quiet about it, and that's a major setback in this country. Well, remainder of my term, I'm hoping that I can get that gender bill passed, number 1. Number 2, there are lots of, I call them housekeeping laws, bylaws for the FCT, things like tenancy agreements and how whether you can charge people rent, 2 years rent, 1 year, or annually or quarterly. Laws, things that make life easier for the residents of the FCT. We have a lot of them. We have um, health ones, so many. And I'm going to look at them, ensure that those bills are passed. Then, if I'm really ambitious, I'm going to look at the mayoral bill and see what impact I can make with that. I assure you, if I can get those two major bills passed and a lot of little small laws, bylaws that affect only the Federal Capital Territory. For one thing, I think we should have a law against blasting within the city limits. It's a law that would make life safer and easier for the residents of the Federal Capital Territory. I also think that there should be um, internet and transmitting stations all over rural Abuja. I have to find a way to get that law passed somehow. And there are lots of things that just affect only the Federal Capital Territory. If I can do those, then I would have considered my 4 years a success. And as for beyond, we have to wait for beyond to come, and then we'll see what will happen then. I'd like a lot of women I would like to set up like a mentoring group, not just me, maybe myself and a few other older women, people in different fields, how we can mentor younger women. I think mentoring is something that is lacking a lot in our society. There are lots of things that I only discovered as I went along that would have been so much easier if somebody older had just said to me, this is like this, do that, this would help, and all of that. And it's not just about politics, just even about life, just even health. There's so many little things that you don't know until you're actually living it. And it would be so much easier if somebody would have told you, oh, not a big deal, don't worry, just drink this and you'll be fine. Or, do this. Or be patient. Oh, your husband is yelling at you, don't mind him. Don't answer him. You understand? Just go hang out with your friends for the day. By the time you come back, he has forgot. Little things. So I find that that is a great lapse in our society. There's so many things that older women don't talk about to younger people. And I think we should be able to talk to them about everything because it is life. They will walk that same road one day soon. And that's really all I'd like to add.